Imagine a life where you're woken up by servants. You're bathed, fed, and cared for by a team of professionals. You have few, if any, real responsibilities, and no real problems affect you in your day-to-day life. Every whim is done, and every demand is met. You're either a toddler having the worst day of their life, or you're a dictator in a nation that the CIA has not gotten to. At least not yet. Hi, I'm Grade 13. My tummy hurts because I just ate a fresh jalapeno last night and I have not recovered. Today we're talking about funny stories from dictators from all over history, from a wee little bit of kleptomania to writing self-fanfic smut. We got a bit of it all today. We'll start with the most modern and only living dictator on this list, Vladimir Putin. While yes, he may not be officially a dictator as he's still the president of Russia, he's been in charge for 20-something years. Even when he wasn't president, he was still in charge. And all of his opponents have a real bad habit of deciding to get poisoned. So, for Crate 13's purposes, he's a dictator. In 2005, the New England Patriots would defeat the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 39 with the help of another famous dictator, Tom Brady. The Patriots were then and still are owned by billionaire Robert Kraft, and like many in his tax bracket, Kraft would often rub elbows with investment bankers. And for our story, importantly, investment bankers tend to rub elbows with shady international leaders. Dictators need unique ways to keep cash flowing, to keep oligarchs happy, or to maintain a rainy day fund in case the people have enough, or the CIA decides they've had enough, and have to pull a Bashir al-Assad and flee the nation. For our story today, Sammy Weil is one of those investment bankers. He was the president of Citigroup and a dear friend of Robert Kraft, while at the same time being a business partner of one Vladimir Putin. So, on one of these trips to Russia, Weil decided it'd be a good time to bring along his buddy old Robert. Now, this was 2005. Brady was just getting in motion at the Patriots, and they had just come off their third Super Bowl win for their franchise. So, Kraft was just given his brand new Super Bowl ring, and of course, he wanted to show it off. It had a personal name engravement, 110 diamonds, and was valued at $25,000 in 2005, or $41,000 in today's money, which is just... wow. So, naturally, when you have a 4-ounce hunk of rock on your finger, you want to show it off to people. Robert takes it and shows it to his friend Sammy, who then had the horrible idea to tell Robert he should bring it with him to Russia to show Vladimir Putin. The day the meeting came, and Kraft and Putin met each other, exchanged pleasantries, and then, in a sign of respect, Robert Kraft decided to take the ring off of his finger and hand it to President Putin to let him try it on, which is a great honor in and of itself. Putin takes the ring, he puts it on. Putin puts on the ring, wears it around a little bit, looks at it, lets it glisten in the light, and is quoted as saying to Robert Kraft, "I could kill a man with this," which, as former KGB, I completely believe him in that statement. After a few minutes of holding the ring, Robert Kraft kind of held out his hand and was like, "Hey, okay, can I have my ring back?" Putin then took the ring off, put it in his pocket, and then immediately had his security surround him and promptly left the building. Now Kraft, he was furious. Here he was with a third Super Bowl ring that was, again, worth $25,000. This was his pride and joy in the moment. And this guy had just taken it and walked off with it. So he was about to start making lists of demands to get the ring back and go out to the media until he gets a call from the White House. George W. Bush calls him up and kind of tells Kraft to calm down and say, "Hey, just write it off as a gift, you'll be fine." And Robert Kraft is having none of this. He's still demanding he's going to get the ring back, and he's still demanding something's going to happen. And then this is when the White House completely levels with him and says, "Robert, buddy, it's not worth risking World War III over a piece of jewelry. You'll be fine." So, Robert, being the patriot he was, relented, and ultimately decided to give up his ring and come out with a public announcement saying the ring was a gift made in appreciation of the Russian people and out of respect for Vladimir Putin's leadership. Nearly 20 years later after the incident, Robert Kraft made a joke during the roast of Tom Brady in 2024, saying, "President Putin, if you're watching, Give me my fucking ring back. To which the Kremlin actually made a reply saying they would offer to reimburse Robert Kraft the $25,000 that the ring would have cost him to get a new one, which Kraft declined. He stated the joke was made in good fun, and he's fine just having the story to tell at parties, because, hey, it is a pretty good story, saying you got to meet the dictator of Russia and he stole your ring. So, the Kremlin was happy with that answer, and to this day, the Super Bowl 39 ring of Robert Kraft sits in Putin's office in the Kremlin, along with many other gifts. Muammar Gaddafi was known for a great many things. His eccentricities, his belief in Pan-Africanism and Pan-Arabism, being murdered by the CIA, and of course his eccentricities. Gaddafi ruled Libya for 42 years from 1969 until his death in 2011. During those 42 years, Gaddafi would award himself numerous, as you can see here, medals for what exactly, I don't know. His style would remain so iconic and unmatched that he would go on to inspire the character of General Aladdin in the movie The Dictator by Sacha Baron Cohen. So, anytime Gaddafi would travel, he would carry with him this giant Bedouin tent, complete with hundreds of pillows, camels, the whole shebang. He set up in France one time and even was going to set up in Central Park for his stay in New York, but the city would not let him do it. In these tents, he had a harem of women bodyguards known as the Revolutionary Nuns. These were Gaddafi's own private security personnel. They were women who swore vows of chastity and trained extensively in firearms use and martial arts. They were like Gaddafi's very own Islamist Charlie's Angels. But we're not talking about these women in Gaddafi, no. But today's story takes us to Italy for one of Gaddafi's visits in 2010. Gaddafi was in Rome meeting with the Libyan Prime Minister to Italy and wanted to throw a massive party. He talked to his staffers and ordered them to find the 500 most beautiful escorts in all of Italy and ordered them to come to the Libyan Academy in Rome. He had one instruction for the women: come dressed demurely. This would have done numbers in the summer of 2024 with the Kamala crowd. Ugh.
Oh, it's such a bright summer. Oh my gosh, you're so demure.
Shut up. Stop taking SSRIs. Anyways, the women arrived to the Libyan Academy expecting to be a part of the biggest orgy Rome had seen since Caligula. However, they were wrong. In front of them were an entire row of chairs laid out, and all the women came and took a seat when Colonel Gaddafi came out and began to preach to the women. He handed out a free Quran to each lady and then began to preach on the dangers of their sinful lifestyle and then urged all of them to convert to Islam for hours, which he successfully did for 3 of the ladies, who gave up the oldest profession on the spot. They traded the corner for the hijab. For the 497 ladies that were not as open to the sermon on Islam, I don't know what they would call the equivalent of a sermon in Islam. They were all paid 70 euros and all came out saying that Gaddafi was nothing but polite and professional with all of them. Which the same could not be said for the rebels that ended up killing Gaddafi less than a year later. The last dictator today is a near and dear one to my heart, as he was a cornerstone of my childhood. That's right, we're talking about old Saddam Hussein. Saddam had quite the run before getting his ass kicked twice by the Americans and posthumously becoming a meme. Saddam ruled Iraq from 1979 until 2003, and in that time he accomplished a lot. He successfully started a war with Iran that was a stalemate for many years and only cost the lives of 500,000 people. And he started a war with Kuwait, which promptly got the United States involved in the sandbox, to which we are still involved with it for some reason. But in between being an absolute dick of a neighbor, Saddam had a softer side, a more artsy side. He wrote smut. Yes, the leader of the Ba'ath Party had 4 novels over his authorial career, 2 of which were romance novels. Many of these books served as allegories or just straight appraisals of himself his relationship to Iraq and her people, and to the West. Many of these titles, which probably didn't make the New York Times bestsellers list, some of the only books that probably haven't made that list to be honest with you, include hits like Zabiba and the King, The Fortified Castle, Men and the City, and last, and my personal favorite, Begone Demons. Zabiba and the King is set in medieval Iraq, specifically in Saddam's home city where he was born. Nice to see he didn't switch up on his day ones. It follows a king who falls in love with a commoner girl, who is in a relationship with an abusive husband. The king, of course, represents Saddam Hussein. The commoner girl is the Iraqi people, and the abusive husband is the Americans. Specifically, Daddy Bush. The Fortified Castle novel follows an Iraqi war veteran who has to delay his wedding to a Kurdish girl due to being wounded in the leg, but also being captured by Iranian forces during the Iran-Iraq War. The novel is full of moments where he has to give these impactful love speeches and writes these impactful love notes to his Kurdish lover, which all just read like political propaganda speeches with the word love just thrown in there. This novel's main thing is that it's all about Iraq needs to bring together all of its different ethnic groups, and they need to stop fighting so they can fight the real enemy, which is the Iranians, or the Americans, or the Israelis, or the Kuwaitis, or literally anyone around them. The Men in the City is basically just Saddam's account of how the Baathists came into power. It's very inaccurate, and it makes Saddam out to be the most perfect ruler ever who made every single right decision possible and no mistakes at all. But it's the most normal book he wrote, so there's that. Whew. And boy, that last novel is like a schizo's dream. So, first off, this novel was finished the literal day before Iraq was invaded by the United States in 2003. Like, one day before we started like launching those cruise missiles and the Tomahawk missiles into Baghdad, Saddam was sitting at his desk finishing out the last few pages of this novel. That is just so fucking funny to me. Because I'm imagining his generals coming into his room like, Saddam, we have on good intelligence the Americans could attack any minute. And he's like, shh, shh, shh. I was having an idea, and you ruined it. It was coming to me. This is an important part of how the novel is finished. Okay? It was almost there, and you ruined it. I have no idea if that's what Saddam Hussein would sound like. I don't even think he knew English. I'm probably going to cut this part in the video, to be honest with you. It was funnier when I wrote it in the script. Okay, so I don't even know if I can talk about the plot of this novel without getting demonetized, and I'm not even monetized yet, which you can help change. Simply go down, hit that like button, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But let's just say there's a plot by a specific group of people to attack America and destroy 2 towers. Saddam was not what we like to call subtle. It was clear Saddam wanted to be remembered as some philosopher king with all these writings, but they're just bad. Like, I tried to be unbiased with this, but the sections that I could try and get translated, which there's not a lot of translations, that's a whole other thing. Apparently a publisher in Tokyo would publish them when Saddam was in prison. Why they were doing it, I don't know. They just don't make sense. All the characters are either 100% good or 100% bad. And Saddam inserts himself in all of these stories in like the goofiest ways. So instead of seeming like some really enlightened, deep thinker writer, he just comes off as like some guy at like a 7th grade writing level that thinks that his stories are the coolest and most profound thing ever. And it's just shitty fanfic. Overall, all these men live pretty interesting lives, and like all of us, they have their own quirks. So, next time when you're watching the news and you see some other angry dictator making a broadcast declaring death to America and that they will destroy the whole world, just smile and think to yourself, they probably have already published smut at some time in their life. So, all of these people mentioned in this video Terrible people, alright? On the list of pretty okay people in Crate 13's eyes, they're not on that list. They don't make the cut, alright? The more I hear about that Gaddafi guy, the less I like him. Yeah, that kind of deal. So, I don't know. It's still interesting to see these guys have these funny little moments that like make you laugh and like, oh, they're human. They're just real people too. But then it also makes it kind of scary because you're like, oh, these people used chemical weapons on their own people, or they had weapons of mass destruction. Right? Right? I just want to say, I hope you enjoy whatever you've decided to eat today, and hope you enjoy whatever kind of poop you've decided to poop today. I'm Crate 13, and as always, thank you for your time and your attention. Have a fantastic day.